Last week's episode of Dexter Resurrection was an absolute banger, honestly one of the best ones of the entire franchise, and episode 8 looks like it's going to be even better. So today, let's break down the trailer for episode 8. I'm Pamela, welcome back to the channel. In case you're new here, please subscribe to the channel because we're covering all things Dexter throughout this entire season of Dexter Resurrection. So episode 8 is called The Kill Room Where It Happens, and the promo opens up with Dexter setting up the kill room for Al. He is the last one in this group of serial killers that he has to kill. And to me, it seems like Dexter has plenty of time to plan this out methodically compared to like Lowell, where it was sort of last minute, he couldn't go home to get his tools, and Gareth, where Gareth just showed up to Dexter's apartment, so Dexter had to improvise yet again. So it looks like he can take his time this time around with Al. And then we do get this shot of Harrison shirtless, and I'm kind of wondering if maybe he finally hooks up with Elsa and this is maybe like early the next morning. But I kind of feel like probably not, because she doesn't seem to be into him like that. She already turned down his kiss. Maybe it's Gigi, who he met at the college in the previous episode. So then we get Blessing saying to Dexter, imagine if Harrison knew you had killed a person. And Dexter says, just one? Which I thought was funny because he's literally killed like over 150 people. So obviously from this clip, they kind of want you to be like, wait, does Blessing know that Dexter's a killer? But Blessing is obviously referring to what he shared with Dexter previously in episode 6 about how he killed one person when he was a soldier. He's probably confiding in Dexter again about his own daughter. So then we get a shot of Angel back in his room wherever he's staying, and he has his wall where he's like solving the case. You know, he has images of Harrison, Dexter's mugshot, some newspaper clippings and stuff like that. And he says on the phone to who I assume is Claudette, I placed a tracer in Mr. Morgan's vehicle. As you guys know, in episode 7, Angel left his AirPods in Dexter's car. And then in this promo, Angel says to himself, while looking at his wall, where are you now, Mr. Morgan? And then in the promo, Dexter says to himself, Lowell, Mia, Gareth, and then there was Al. So obviously Al is next up to be killed, and I do think he's going to be successful this episode because of some of the other shots that we get in this promo. But then next up, Charlie says to Prater, trust me and let me do my job. And Prater says, then do your job. And we do see her kind of tightening her fist. So I think she is out for blood. She's on to Dexter. She's been suspicious of him since the whole fingerprint thing in episode 4, when at first his fingerprint wasn't working. And you know, like she showed up to Red's apartment and the food was molding because Red hadn't been back there. And then the whole Gemini thing last episode when she was like, he kills in pairs and now he's just picking off people one by one. It doesn't make sense. So I do think she's already suspicious of Dexter, and we do know that she's gonna come face to face with Harrison eventually. We got this in one of the trailers like weeks and weeks ago at this point. So I think she's gonna start to really figure out Dexter's identity in episode 8, and I think that's gonna lead us into the finale. So now this wig store is going to come into play. Months ago, when they were filming the show, we got some behind the scenes images from like Scott Reynolds and people like that, where they share that they're filming a kill scene in a wig store. I shared these images here on the channel with you guys, and I'm guessing Dexter chooses this as the kill room just because of Al's whole thing with the ponytails. I guess it just kind of like plays into that. So now Angel is in this wig store on the phone with Claudette and says, I found the proof that the Bay Harbor Butcher is still active. And we do also see him breaking into the store. Now I do think that Dexter is definitely going to be successful in killing Al this episode, because we do see in the promo, we see his toolkit, we see him breaking the smelling salt that he uses to wake his victims. And he also says in the promo, tonight's the night, and we all know what that means. And then, oh my god, we get this shot of Batista holding a gun, looking absolutely shook. And then we see Dexter with this like wig stocking on his face, which I just think is so funny. And he says, I'm putting an end to this, and lifts his knife to kill Al. So, okay, a few things to go over. So, like I mentioned earlier, it seems like Dexter has enough time to carefully plan this out. And I think this shot in the beginning of the promo, when we see him setting up the plastic wrap, I think he's setting up the room in advance, like he's done in the past. He's gonna set it up and leave it there until later when he can bring Al there. And Batista tracked him there after Dexter set up the room. So like Dexter goes there to set it up in advance, Batista sees the tracker where he went, and Batista breaks into the store and sees the whole setup. And by Batista saying on the phone, I have proof that the Bay Harbor Butcher is still active, all he saw at that moment is the plastic wrap. That is clearly the Bay Harbor Butcher's MO. So he's initially going to see the setup, but Dexter's not going to be there yet because he just set it up and left. So once Batista sees the plastic wrap, he's thinking to himself, all right, this is the work of the Bay Harbor Butcher. But he's gonna leave the wig store to let Dexter do his thing. And this shot here is Batista walking in on Dexter, doing his kill, and he's gonna be absolutely shook. And this shot of Dexter is probably him seeing Batista, sort of like when Deb walked in on Dexter at the church in season 6. It's going to be like a similar situation. And the reason the episode is titled The Kill Room Where It Happens is because Batista is literally going to finally see the kill room where it happens. And then episode 9, the following episode, is called Touched by an Angel. So like he's finally gonna have Dexter. And episode 10 is called And Justice for All. So like, what the hell is gonna happen? Is Batista finally gonna have Dexter in custody where he has to like go to trial? I think it's a very good possibility, but then like maybe Batista doesn't quite have enough evidence. Like it's one of those things where if you look at the evidence that you have, like it clearly looks like Dexter's guilty, but there's not actually enough evidence to like pin this on him. All these years of all of these kills, there's just not quite enough evidence. Because I don't think Dexter's gonna go down for his crimes at the end of season 1. We know that they're planning at least 3 seasons, possibly 5. So he's gonna get away with it again. But I do think that Batista could take him into custody. But like Dexter again will just somehow get out of it. So episode 8, Al is definitely gonna die, but then that leaves us with 2 more episodes. Is Dexter gonna have any more kills, or is it all just kind of gonna be about Batista taking him down and Charlie figuring him out? Of course, he could still kill Prater and possibly Charlie if they want to give us some more kills before the season is over. But oh my god, you guys, this is so intense. I have never been more pumped for an episode of Dexter. Episode 8 is going to be absolutely insane. I cannot wait. Like, what's going to happen to Batista? Is Harrison going to kill him to like get Dexter out of this? Is Dexter going to kill him and like do what he has to do? Kind of like with LaGuardia. I mean, Dexter straight up threatened Batista in episode 7, saying, if I am who you say I am, it won't end well for you. I am so hyped, you guys. Let me know your thoughts. Leave a comment down below. What predictions or theories do you have for episode 8 or the rest of the season? Please give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Please also go follow me over on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. And I will see you guys next time.